Week number 2, NFL predictions here on the channel. It's the second week, obviously, in a row where we have done NFL predictions. And last week we did all right. Of course, we're doing this, college football, and all MMA here on the channel. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel for every single predictions video coming here on the channel. So we got week 2 NFL predictions. Yesterday, we posted our week number 3 college football predictions. Link will be in the description down below. On Monday, we posted, on Sunday, we posted our UFC Noche, UFC 306. O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili predictions. Obviously, the UFC card in the Sphere on Mexican Independence Day. And on Monday, we posted our Bellator Champion Series London predictions with Leah McCourt and Sarah Collins in the main event. But all those links are in the description down below. Let's do it. Every single NFL game this week, and we start things off on Thursday Night Football with the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. We are going with the Dolphins to win and to cover the 2.5 as well. Now, watching last week, obviously the Dolphins were shaky to start that game off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It took a big, turnover and a big swing in momentum in that game late in the fourth quarter for the Dolphins to go out and win that football game. Obviously, they had the missed field goal by Jason Sanders, I believe the third of the fourth quarter too, which, halted their momentum a little bit. But the Dolphins ended up winning that game against a good Jaguars team. I think the Jaguars are still pretty solid. We will get to Jacksonville later in this video, but I think the Jaguars are still one of the better teams in the AFC. I would say they're top 8 in the AFC, which I know is only 15 teams in the conference, but I would say they're in the upper half, 16 teams in the conference, but I'd say they're in the upper half of the AFC. And the Dolphins are taking on the Bills, who, look good in the second half. They were very shaky in the first half against the Arizona Cardinals team. I still don't think Arizona is very good. I think Buffalo, obviously had a rough time with that Cardinals squad. Josh Allen is still one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL. I would say he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. But his core around him isn't great. Now, I think they got to get Dalton Kincaid more, into that offense. They need to incorporate Dalton Kincaid a lot more. Obviously, again, Kincaid was really good last season when Dawson Knox went down with injury. On Sunday, they really did not get Kincaid that involved in their game plan. Obviously, they still got Curtis Samuel. They got Khalil Shakir as well. They got Keon Coleman at receiver. I just like the Dolphins a lot better in this football game. Yes, it does depend on if A-Chain and Mostert play. I think at least one of the two will. I think A-Chain definitely will play. I don't know about Raheem Mostert, but they have Jeff Wilson too if they need him. I think the Dolphins are fine. Again, I really like what they put on in week 1 against the Jaguars. That team should continue to get better as the season goes on. I like Tua enough. I think, again, that receiving core, obviously, we're talking about Waddle, Hill, and all those guys. They should be fine. A-Chain, obviously, the receiving back as well. I think the Dolphins will win this game. I think they will cover the 2.5, and I do think they will win outright as well. So give me the Dolphins to win and to cover on Thursday Night Football. Up next, we've got the Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, of course, just talked about the Jags, of course, losing last week to the Miami Dolphins. That's fine. They now get a home game against the Cleveland Browns, who were severely underwhelming in their week 1 game on America's Game of the Week on Fox. They had Tom Brady on commentary and everything. And the Browns kind of laid an egg against the Cowboys. Now, was it poor quarterback play? A little bit. Deshaun Watson left a lot to be desired in that game. Watson wasn't great, but at the same time, his offensive line wasn't really doing anything to help him. David Njoku went down with injury. I don't think Njoku's going to play this week. Of course, they still got Amari Cooper. They got Jerry Jeudy. They signed Kadarius Toney, which fixes none of their problems. But really, it's the offensive line. Jerome Ford did all right. Obviously, again, he's the replacement for Nick Chubb for at least the first half of the season. Jerome Ford was fine. He did all right for my fantasy team, scoring that garbage time touchdown. I just think the Browns are going to struggle again here this week. Again, I understand that I don't think it was totally the Browns are bad, being the reason why they lost at Dallas. It was more just, again, the Cowboys, I think, are a really solid team. Their defense, again, Micah Parsons, coming off the edge. Again, they had the whole moment of the game where Brady literally called it out before the play, circled Micah Parsons and said he was going to get a sack on that play, and he did. Again, I don't think the Cowboys are all that bad. I think they're one of the better defenses in football. I think they're one of the better teams in football as well. Even though I still think they lose the NFC East to the Eagles, but still, I think this is a tough game for the Browns. They still go on the road to Jacksonville against the Jaguars team that look good defensively, look good enough defensively against Miami. They're splitting carries now with Travis Etienne and Tate Bigsby, which is interesting, but I'm okay with it. Again, it keeps the legs fresh for Etienne. Brian Thomas looked good. in parts. And Trevor Lawrence, I think, is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of football. Watch that touchdown he throws to Brian Thomas in Miami. Again, watch where Brian Thomas is and watch where Trevor Lawrence puts that football. I would show it to you if I didn't get copyrighted on my video. But again, Trevor Lawrence is an exceptional quarterback in the NFL. He is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and he doesn't get the credit for it. I think the Jaguars go through the Browns in this game. I think their offense is able to score effectively, and I don't trust the Browns' offense at all. I just don't. Again, is it Deshaun Watson? Is it the offensive line? Is it the lack of Nick Chubb? I don't think it's the latter, but whatever it is, I don't think they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval County. Give me the Jags to win and to cover the 3 points as well. Next up, the Green Bay Packers host the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, this game is much different now with Jordan Love being injured and with Malik Willis, the former Liberty Flames quarterback, starting this week for the Green Bay Packers. I think it's key that we mention Malik Willis has only been in the system for 3 weeks. He was traded at the tail end of the offseason from Tennessee to Green Bay, and now he's getting a start in his 3rd week in this system, which is enough time, sure, but it's not like he's been a career backup or he's been with Green Bay his entire career. It's a fresh start. He's going to be the starter for Green Bay for at least the next 8 to 10 weeks. And this is going to be rough for the Packers. Don't get me wrong. They still have a very good receiving core around him, obviously. You got Jaden Reed and company. I mean, that team is good. They've got pieces around him. Aaron Jones out the backfield. Or, sorry, not Aaron Jones. Josh Jacobs out the backfield, who I believe is questionable this week. But I like the Colts a lot better. I think the Colts, again, even though they were trailing for basically the entirety of that Houston Texans game, I liked what I saw of the Colts. Their defense wasn't horrible against a good Houston offense. And Anthony Richardson, sure, did he only complete 9 passes? Yeah. But Richardson, I think, is going to be an elite talent in the NFL. I think next year going into the season, we are going to rate Anthony Richardson as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Watch his throws to Alec Pierce. Watch the way this guy is willing to let go of the football. The one thing I will say about the Colts, and I want the Colts to get the football to Michael Pittman Jr. more. Pittman is one of the better receivers in the NFL. They just paid him in the offseason. I understand, again, he's not going to be that guy like Alec Pierce, and given like Mitchell too is going to go and run you a deep ball. But Michael Pittman, this is an interesting comp, but I will say he plays like Larry Fitzgerald to a certain extent. He's always your guy on 3rd down that you can't go to, and Michael Pittman getting 2 catches in that game last week against the Texans is not going to cut it. So again, I hope AR and that Colts offense will get Pittman more involved. We will see. Of course, the run game is solid with Jonathan Taylor. I like the Colts to go on the road and beat a Packers team that will be starting Malik Willis. If Jordan Love was starting, I would take the Packers, but again, I think that offense is so much different with Malik Willis. I don't think Willis is all that bad. It's just also, too, he's no Jordan Love, even though, yes, Jordan Love's only started like 9 games. But he's no Jordan Love, and on top of that, or one season or whatnot. But still, he's not Jordan Love, and he just got in the system. I think it's really rough for the Packers, and I'm going to be taking the Indianapolis Colts to win this game and to cover the 3 points on the road as well. So we're taking the Colts as road favorites here in this game against the Green Bay Packers. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going on the road to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. We are taking the Ravens to win, and we're taking them to cover the 8.5. I don't think the Raiders are good. Now, I like Gardner Minshew a lot, but I just think the Ravens are the way better football team. Obviously, we're taking the Ravens to win at minus 530. Again, if you're doing a survival league, this is probably your pick for the week. I picked the Saints last week, thankfully, not the Bengals. But this is likely your lock of the week. It really is. I mean, the Ravens are much better than the Raiders. The Raiders obviously had that game in Los Angeles where they lost. I don't think Gardner Minshew is entirely the problem. I just think their team as a whole is just not very good. Again, Devontae Adams needs to be involved more, obviously. Their run game didn't look that bad in all fairness with Zamir White and with Alexander Madison. But their defense is not going to blow you away. Their offensive line is not the greatest either. The Ravens are just by far the better football team. This game is in Baltimore, too. The Ravens are coming off that game again where Isaiah Likely was barely out of bounds by literally a toe. He was out of bounds when they lost that Kansas City Chiefs game on Thursday Night Football. You got to think the Ravens are going to come in here guns blazing and trying to kill this Raiders team, which ultimately I think they do. I just don't think Vegas is all that great. Again, is Gardner Minshew the problem? No, I don't think really any quarterback would thrive in that system. I mean, hell, this is a team that picked 2 tight ends back-to-back years, which I don't mind the Brock Bowers pick, but literally Michael Mayer is doing nothing on that team, and it doesn't make sense. The Ravens should win. They should win pretty decisively. Again, they are minus 530 favorites for a reason. We are taking them to cover that 8.5 points. I think that will get a little tricky. Of course, 8.5 points is a lot for any team to cover in the NFL. It just is. But if any team's going to do it against any other team, it's probably going to be the Ravens versus the Raiders. Now, I didn't think the Raiders were going to be that bad coming into last week, but really, again, their offense really couldn't get going. And again, I don't think it's Gardner Minshew's fault. I think it's a play calling issue too. But I like the Ravens to win this game at home. I don't really think this one's too controversial of a take. So give me the Ravens to win at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. Next up, we have got the team that beat the Raiders last week and the Los Angeles Chargers versus, I think, the worst team in football. It's the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are horrible. They just are. I don't know if it's Bryce Young. I think I don't want to be quick to point the finger at Young, but it might be Bryce Young. It's also just, their O-line's horrible. Their defense can't get a stop to save their lives. And I just don't think Bryce Young's in the right spot. Again, would Bryce Young be better elsewhere in the NFL? Maybe. But God, he looked horrible last week. The Saints had the Panthers figured out. I mean, the score is like 30-0 at halftime. The game wasn't competitive. And yeah, the Panthers went out. They got Bryce Young weapons. They got Deontay Johnson. They got Xavier Legette from South Carolina. And obviously they brought back Adam Thielen. But again, that was nothing. It obviously did nothing for them last week against the New Orleans team that a lot of people expect to be in the bottom half of the NFL this year, right? You look at the rest of the squad, obviously, right? I mean, the run game is just Jonathan Brooks. You got Chuba Hubbard, right? It's just, I don't know. I believe Hubbard's hurt, right? It's just, I don't believe in this Panthers team at all. I know they're at home, but this feels like the lock of the week. Other than that last game we talked about, I'm either taking the Ravens or the Chargers in my survival this week. And it's not that the Chargers blow me away. I don't think the Chargers are a playoff team this season, but I think they will start the year off 2-0. Justin Herbert, again, he's good. He is good, but the core around him is not great. J.K. Dobbins had a really good week one for the Chargers, obviously, the former Ravens running back. Ladd McConkey, I think he's going to be real solid for this Chargers team. I have him in fantasy, so I might be a little bit biased here. But, I mean, McConkey had like 40 yards, 6 catches, 8 targets, and a touchdown, which, again, are good fantasy numbers, but you'd like to see a little bit more production. But that was his first game. I think, again, as the Chargers get going, Herbert's going to get him more involved. The Chargers defense was all right. Again, they were pretty good. I have them in fantasy too, if you care, but I know you don't. But still, they were decent against the Raiders, right? Obviously, that's the Raiders. But if you're that good against the Raiders, you should be even better against this Carolina Panthers team, who's going to turn the ball over. I mean, again, Bryce Young is going to throw picks. That's just a given. And I think the Chargers really go out here and win this game. They're going to get pressure from both sides, obviously, with Bosa and Mack, and that's really just going to hurry up the process a lot for Bryce Young in the pocket. That's going to force him to make bad throws. That's going to force him to, key in on one target, likely Adam Thielen. And I think this is going to be a runaway game for the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't think this game's close. I think the Chargers run right through the Panthers, and they will win this game and cover the 6.5 as well. Again, the Panthers are the worst team in football, and it's not even close. So give me the Chargers to win and to cover. We go on to our next game here. This is America's Game of the Week. Again, the Cowboys get it, and they are at home against the New Orleans Saints. Give me the Cowboys to win and to cover the spread as well. Again, I don't think it was more the Saints are good. It was just the Panthers are really bad. Now, I don't think the Saints are horrible, but in Dallas, this is just a rough game. Let's just keep it up. Let's just be honest with ourselves. This is a rough game for the Saints. We saw what the Cowboys did last week on the road in Cleveland, and, now you get a New Orleans team, which, again, I understand their offense we didn't see the normal production out of some of these guys like Chris Olave because, again, the game was basically over late in the second quarter. I think Olave only had like 4 catches in that game and like 50 yards, if that. I think he might have been in the 30s. I'm not concerned about Chris Olave's production. I think Rashid Shaheed, again, is a big part of this football team. You saw Derek Carr hit Shaheed deep. I don't want to make the comparison at all. This is pure football comparison, and I understand Rashid Shaheed's been doing this for a very long time. But I remember when Henry Ruggs was very beneficial for Derek Carr on the Vegas Raiders, or were they still in Oakland? No, they're in Vegas by then. He was very beneficial for Derek Carr. Derek Carr, again, is going to have, I understand Derek Carr has been with New Orleans, but I think him and Shaheed, again, are going to continue to have a big season. Similar to, again, where Derek Carr loved throwing the deep ball to Henry Ruggs. He's going to keep throwing that. He's going to keep airing that thing out to Rashid Shaheed. Again, I don't think New Orleans is horrible. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're bad. I just think them going on the road to Dallas here is just a very tough matchup. Again, we saw what Dallas was able to do to that Browns offense. And given, I think the Saints offense is better than Cleveland's, obviously. For now, at least it is. But I just think the Cowboys are going to be able to put up points on the Saints defense. And I think as well, the Saints are just going to have a very tough time moving the football downfield against this Dallas squad. So give me the Cowboys to win. We're taking them to cover the 6 points, and we're taking them to win, obviously, as well. They're just the better football team on both sides of the ball. Dak Prescott, again, played a very solid game. I am a little bit iffy on their run game, considering Ezekiel Elliott's their lead back. But it's fine. I really think it is. CeeDee Lamb, again, had the whole holdout situation in the offseason. He's just getting going now. The Cowboys are only going to continue to get better. So give me Dallas to win and give me Dallas to cover the 6 points as well. This should feel like an easy matchup for the Cowboys to win at home in Jerry's World. Next up, Commanders and Giants. Believe it or not, I really like the Commanders this week. I really do. I think at minus 130 or hell, even at minus 2, I like the Commanders a lot. I think they are definitely going to win this football game. The Giants are atrocious. They just are. Now, there has been rumblings that Daniel Jones might get benched in favor of Drew Lock, I believe their backup is. Obviously, that's not going to happen this week, but I could see it. However, again, you're paying Daniel Jones that much money. You're probably not going to want to put him on the bench or sit him down in favor of a guy making, Drew Lock's making like $9 million, give or take $10 million. I just think the Commanders are the better football team. I think they are. I think Washington ran into one of the better teams in the NFC last week in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we will get to Tampa Bay when we get to their divisional round matchup or their divisional round rematch against the Detroit Lions later this week in this video. But I think Washington just ran into a very good team. I like Jaden Daniels still. I think Daniels is going to be solid for that football team. Brian Robinson had a decent day running the football. Obviously, their receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. Obviously, it's bad. It just is. Terry McLaurin had like one target through the first half of that football game. And yeah, again, the Commanders will get better. Their defense, I am not too concerned. Tampa Bay is one of the better offenses in all of football. Again, they're going to hit you from all cylinders in that passing game. I am not concerned. I'm concerned about Daniel Jones and the Giants. That offense is just not good, right? I saw a report coming out of Washington's camp that they want Daniels to run the football less. He was their leading rusher and, led the team in carries last week, 16 carries, 88 yards. But again, Jaden Daniels, that's what he does. That's what he's good at doing. He needs to get more of his, receiving core involved, right? Eckler with 4 catches, Brian Robinson with 3 were his leading receivers. Then Zach Ertz, then Luke McCaffrey, then McLaurin, then Zacchaeus. Jamison Crowder had a catch. Diami Brown's not even getting involved in the pass game, which is what it is. But I think, again, as the Commanders get going in the season, they are only going to improve. Jaden Daniels is going to be more settled into the pocket. And I think, again, it's just going to give him, it's going to give him more confidence as, being around this team and playing a team like the Giants, who has a horrible defense and their offense is just bad. Again, other than Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones' targets they will not blow you away. Devin Singletary, who wasn't horrible for the Texans last season, is the starting back on this team. Again, we talk about the Panthers as the worst team in football. The Giants are right there with them. The Commanders win this game pretty easily. Plus, this game is in Landover. Yeah, this is all Washington in this game at home. Give me the Commanders to win and to cover the 2 points. Next up, we go to Nashville. The Titans and the Jets, 2 teams that just disappointed the hell out of me last week. Now, Will Levis, who I really like, had his worst game of his career last year against the Chicago Bears. It was the worst game of his career by far. I don't know what he was doing. Hell, he's got that moment that everyone screenshotted, and it's just a meme now of Will Levis on his knees going, "No, why did I throw that?" when he tried to do the flick pass to the outside and ended up being a pick 6. The game was horrible for the Titans. It just was. They got off to, a 17-0 lead and ended up losing the football game. Again, trust me, I bet on the Titans last week, and it pissed me off. Who else I bet on? The New York Jets. Now, I'm going to say this right now. By the way, I'm picking the Jets to win. I'm taking the Titans to cover. I think the Jets win by a field goal. But anyways, Zach Wilson got scapegoated, guys. Zach Wilson got scapegoated in New York. He was not the problem. And I've always said this, Zach Wilson's not the problem. But I think it's evident now. And I understand they played the San Francisco 49ers, who are the favorites to win the NFC, or one of the favorites. It depends where you look at the Lions. But still, Zach Wilson got scapegoated in New York. He was not that horrible for that football team. The problem for the Jets, and now, after the touchdown drive, okay, the Jets on Monday Night Football, it was first down handoff, second down handoff, boom, third down, we're throwing a 3rd and 6, we're throwing a 3rd and 7, we're throwing a 3rd and 8. We're throwing a 3rd and long regardless because we can't get the run game going on 1st and 2nd down. And I understand, again, you're playing the 49ers D-line, which is pretty solid, of course. Their linebacking core is really good too, but still, let Aaron Rodgers throw the football. I don't think Zach Wilson was the problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's better than Aaron Rodgers. I am not. I am not saying that at all. But I'm saying that the Jets are still not going to see that much success with Rodgers. They're going to see more success, obviously, because, again, he's Aaron Rodgers. But I don't think Zach Wilson was the problem for this team. Don't forget, Zach Wilson, again, had a winning record for the Jets 2 seasons ago. And they benched him in favor of Mike White when they were trying to make a push to the playoffs. I think, really, it was just the expectation that Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick in the draft and he was supposed to change their franchise. And given Zach Wilson is not going to be that type of player, but I don't think Zach Wilson's a backup quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think he's outside of the top 30 in the NFL as well in quarterbacks. I think, again, he got complete scapegoat in New York. I think he's better than Bo Nix, and I'll get to that later. But I don't understand Nathaniel Hackett's play calling. They tried to protect Zach Wilson a lot with their play calling last year which again, I think hurt Zach Wilson more than it did help him, by running the ball on first down, running the ball on second down, and then setting him up on a third down, which like 3rd and 6, right? Because sometimes, yeah, they would rip big carries on first and second down to keep the drive going, but ultimately, Zach Wilson, 80% of the time, would only be throwing the football on 3rd down. And again, that's what they try to do to protect Wilson, to not make him, throw the ball all the time, but that just did nothing but hurt him. Now, Nathaniel Hackett called that game last week against the Niners with Aaron Rodgers like Zach Wilson was the quarterback. It was horrible. I think the Jets win the football game. I think the offense will get going in stride just because I think their run game is going to be able to get going against this Titans defense. Rodgers, of course, is a weapon with the play action fake sells or whatnot. The Jets win the football game. I think the Titans, though, keep it competitive. I'm still not off of the Titans. Again, I think, Levis just had a bad week. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll get that receiving core going. Even the retirement receiving core of Ridley, Hopkins, and Boyd. And, Treylon Burks is there, too. But still. And Tony Pollard, I think the Titans will get going. I don't think they win this football game, but I think they keep it close. And I think it's going to be, not a bad game for Tennessee. It'll be all right. But the Jets win. I think the Titans, however, though, will cover the spread as well. To our next one. The San Francisco 49ers go to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I'm taking the Niners to win, but I'm taking the Vikings actually to cover. I don't think the Vikings are that horrible of a football team. I don't think they are. Don't get me wrong, I don't think they're beating San Francisco, but don't forget last season, again, that game in Minnesota was a good contest, and the Vikings kept close with the Niners, and I believe they won that game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Again, I'm taking the Niners. They're minus 290. That's not much value there, but I think the Vikings covering 6 is very doable. Again, San Francisco is going to the north. They're going to Minnesota to play this football game. Sam Darnold's revenge game against his former team in the Niners, which, again, it's not like he was a key factor of that Niners team, but still, he was there. He was the backup last season, and honestly, I don't think Sam Darnold's that bad of a quarterback. And I get it. They played the Giants last week, but that was a pretty easy pick. I thought, again, the Vikings as slight favorites on the road against the Giants, I thought was a very easy pick, just like how I think the Commanders at home against the Giants this week as a slight favorite is a very easy pick as well. I just think the Vikings, again, they're able to remain competitive in this football game. Yes, the Niners offense is a well-oiled machine, obviously. Again, Jordan Mason just went in, perfectly in that running back room, obviously, or that starting running back spot instead of Christian McCaffrey, which just goes to show how good the Niners are and goes to show you how good their offensive line is, where a guy like Jordan Mason is able to see all that success. And I think, again, the Niners had all but like one drive last game where they didn't score points, given a lot of their drives stalled out in the red zone, which we'll see what happens this week, and that's part of the reason why I am taking the Vikings to cover 6. It's just because some of the Niners' red zone offense does leave some to be desired. And it's the factor, too, they're on the road, too. I think the Niners win the football game. Brock Purdy, again, does his job with the San Francisco team. He does exactly what is needed of him. Again, Brandon Ayuk likely will not be dropping that touchdown pass down the stretch of the season. Again, he just got back in the swing of things. He is a very well-paid wide receiver. I'm sure he will figure it out. Deebo Samuel, obviously, George Kittle. You got Juwan Jennings, too. I don't think McCaffrey plays this week, but I still think the Niners win, and I think the Vikings will cover the spread. I think the Niners win this game by about 4 points. Again, it's a tough game. It's on the road, but the Niners will win, and they will move on to 2-0. Next up, we go to New England. The Patriots host the Seattle Seahawks. We're taking the Seahawks to win, and we're taking them to cover as well. Guys, the Patriots are not that good. They're not that good. The Bengals just suck, I'll be honest with you. The Bengals are just not a good football team, okay? The Seahawks, they were all right last week against the Denver Broncos. They pulled away in the second half. I don't think the Seahawks are horrible, right? I think Ken Walker's a very good running back. I think the Seahawks running game can be very good this season. Geno Smith is just Geno Smith to me. It's Geno Smith. The Patriots, again, I don't think the Patriots winning last week was a result of New England being very good. It was just the Bengals being bad. Now, I like Christian Gonzalez a lot. He locked up Jamar Chase that entire football game, and I think, again, he will probably be matched on to, I would assume, JSN this week, maybe DK. I don't know if they're going to put him on DK Metcalf. I don't know. But regardless, the Seahawks just have too many weapons to hurt the Patriots with. I get the game's in New England, but Jacoby Brissett is nothing but a game manager, and Jacoby Brissett's not going to make any plays that are going to blow you away. The Bengals are just a pitiful football team. That's the way I'm going to put this. And I will get to Cincinnati when they take on the Chiefs later this week. I will get to that game. I just don't think the Bengals are good. The Patriots, yeah, they won that football game on the road. It is what it is. The Patriots are not starting the season 2-0. Again, the Patriots are one of the worst teams in football. Still, they are a bottom 10 team in football. They are not starting the year 2-0. I don't care. The Seahawks don't blow you away on paper, but the Seahawks are still the much better football team. Okay, they have a very solid receiving core. They got Lockett, JSN, and and DK, obviously, right? The running game with Charbonnet and obviously the primary back in Ken Walker should be fine. And the Seahawks defense did a very good job stifling that Broncos offense last week. And given, again, we don't know if that was just the Seahawks defense being really good or the Broncos offense being bad, but ultimately it doesn't really matter, I think, because they're playing a very lackluster Patriots offense. Ramondre Stevenson is not running for 140 yards again. That's just not happening. It's not happening in back-to-back games. The Seahawks should be able to shut that down. They will force Jacoby Brissett to throw the football, and if that happens, it is game over. Who does he have to throw the ball to? Demario Douglas? Hunter Henry? I mean, come on now. Come on. No. The Seahawks are winning this game, and they're winning it pretty decisively. The Seahawks win this game, and they win it by 10 on the road. By double digits, the Seahawks win on the road against the New England Patriots. To our next one here. I believe we're now in the afternoon slate, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we are. We go now to only 3 afternoon games. Wow. Tampa Bay and Detroit. We're taking the Lions to win, but the Bucks to cover. 7.5 is too much. It is too many points. It is too many points. The Lions are not going to cover this. Tampa Bay, I think, is probably the 4th best team in the NFC. I'm the number 4. Niners, Lions, Eagles, Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks over the Cowboys right now. Believe it or not, I actually am. That might be a hot take. They might be 5. I'll be honest with you. They might be 5. And I think the Rams are 6 regardless. But Tampa Bay is very good. Guys, Baker Mayfield is a very productive NFL quarterback. He's a very good NFL quarterback. And he has got 2 of the better receivers in the NFL. Again, Mike Evans is the most underrated receiver of all time. He just is. I mean, seriously, this guy should be put into the top 10 receivers of all time category. That's where Mike Evans should be. You look at what this guy's done, 1,000-yard season every single year. Again, that's where Mike Evans should be on an all-time basis. He should be looked at as one of the greatest ever to do it. Again, Evans has been, he has been the model of consistency in the NFL. He's been a top receiver every single season. And again, this Tampa Bay pass game is very good. It is very good. They're getting Bucky Irving involved a lot more, which is all right. Again, as a Rachaad White fantasy owner, that's kind of annoying, but it's fine. Rachaad White's still, again, going to have a big part of this team as well. I just like what this offense is able to do. Baker Mayfield slings it. He just does. Again, he's no Tom Brady. He's never going to be Tom Brady, but he slings it. Yes, he's going to throw more picks than Brady did, but Mayfield's not afraid to sling it downfield and give his guys a chance. And not to say Brady wasn't either doing that, but again, I just still really like this Tampa team. I think they're better now, not because of the quarterback, just the team as a whole, the pieces they put around Baker are better than what they had in Brady's last season 2 years ago. They just are. The offensive line is much improved since Brady's last year. And again, Tampa has made the playoffs in the last 4 years, right? They made the playoffs every year in the last 4 years. This is one of the better teams in the NFL on a year in and year out basis. I think they cover the 7.5 against Detroit. I don't mind Tampa Bay's run defense. Tampa Bay's always had a very good run defense. I think they're able to stop the run a lot against this Detroit team, and they're going to force Jared Goff to throw the football, which I don't think is a bad thing at all, because Jared Goff, again, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Jared Goff is very good. I understand if he had a bad pick last week against the Rams. It is what it is. Playing Detroit at Ford Field in Detroit, in Michigan, is a tough out for any team. Again, we saw this game in the divisional round of the playoffs last year. The Lions won, and I expect them to win this game again. But I think it's going to be like a 3-point game that the Lions barely edge out. I think Tampa Bay's able to stop the run. I think they're able to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. I think they're able to stop David Montgomery, and they're going to, again, force Goff to throw the football, which, Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably going to have to get going a little bit more than he did in that last game, right? Jameson Williams, I really like a lot. I think, again, they're going to make Williams an integral part of this offense. They're going to let him, catch the ball and, run it upfield with that yards after the catch, right? Sam Laporta is a very good tight end, too. Again, I think Tampa's going to force Goff to throw the football a lot. I don't think that's, I think Goff will be fine. I think the Lions will win the football game, but I think Tampa keeps it closer than you would expect. I think 7.5 is way too large of a margin, way too large of a spread for this game. I think as the week goes on, you're going to see the spread change to about 5.5 is my prediction. But give me Tampa Bay to win the football, give me Tampa Bay to cover and give me Detroit to win the football game. Let's go on to our next one here. Rams and Cardinals. Why are the Rams underdogs here? Why? I understand their teams, their entire team is hurt, but the Rams are not losing to the Cardinals. No, Rams easy in this game. They are 2-point underdogs. Keep the points. Give me the money line. Yeah, all day on the Rams here. The Rams are still a top 6 team in the NFL. In the NFC. They still are. Injuries might throw them down a little bit, but I don't care. I really don't. Tyler Johnson is no Puka Nacua, but Tyler Johnson, if he is available in your fantasy leagues, go pick up Tyler Johnson. Bro is an absolute monster at the University of Minnesota. Him and Rashad Bateman were crazy over there. I believe that was Tanner Morgan still the quarterback of Minnesota? I think he was. Tyler Johnson was a beast. Go watch the Outback Bowl back in 2019. Tyler Johnson was a monster, right? Tyler Johnson's a guy who got a shot in Tampa Bay, made a really nice play in the divisional round against the New Orleans Saints. It was a comeback route that Brady threw behind him, and Tyler Johnson just scoops it and catches it. I mean, it was his only catch, I believe, the entire playoffs. But Tyler Johnson is a monster, man. And I think he's going to do a good job fulfilling that Puka Nacua role. A lot of people are tending to, pick Demarcus Robinson over Tyler Johnson in their fantasy leagues. Take Tyler Johnson. He's going to fill that role better of Puka Nacua. Demarcus Robinson's nothing but a deep ball guy. Sure, he's going to get your big gain every once in a while, but Tyler Johnson's going to be the much more consistent target. Trust me on that. The Rams are going to win this football game. They are. Again, they might be beat up. That line is incredibly beat up, but that's only going to improve as the season goes on. They're going to get their guys healthy, and this is not a bad game for them. They're on the road against Arizona. Again, the Cardinals had, Marvin Harrison got like 2 targets the entire game, 1 catch, right? The Cardinals need to get him more involved. James Conner, looked good out the backfield for them, honestly. Kyler Murray, I think, is another one of these guys that is teetering on underrated in the NFL. I think he is, and Kyler gets too much hate because of, is it the Call of Duty? Is it the height? I don't know, but I think Kyler gets a lot of hate, too much hate. But I think the Rams are able to score. I think their defense is able to stop Arizona at points in this game. And I think, again, this game will be close, but I think the Rams will edge out a win here. Cooper Kupp is going to be back in Cooper Kupp form just because they need Cooper Kupp to do everything again. And, Stafford did throw some bad balls last week, sure, but Stafford at the same time was throwing some good balls at the same exact time. Chris Collinsworth said at one point in the Sunday Night Football game that Matthew Stafford just threw the ball of the year. Well, it was week 1, but it is what it is. I hate Collinsworth. I do. I think he's horrible. But, give me the Rams to win this football game. Matthew Stafford should carry this team to victory here. Cooper Kupp is going to get 16 targets this week, and the Rams are going to win. So, again, I think Kupp's poised for a big game. I think Tyler Johnson is poised for a big game as well. We'll see how the run game gets going with Kyren Williams and whatnot, but I think Stafford, again, he threw the football like 60 times on Sunday Night Football. He's probably going to do it a lot more. Or not more, but there's going to be a lot more where that came from down the stretch of the season here. Give me the Rams to win, and give me them, obviously, to cover the 2 points as well. Next up, we go to Kansas City. Burrowhead, yeah, but the Bengals just suck. Kansas City wins and they cover the 5. I understand the Bengals play horribly to start every single season. Sure. Not that bad. That was pitiful. It was horrible, and I get it. Jamar Chase coming off the contract situation, right? He's holding out. Is he playing? Is he not playing? T. Higgins didn't play. Sure, don't care. Zach Moss is really good. He's probably, he's the guy up the backfield. I like Zach Moss a lot. But their offense was not able to move the football. Okay. New England, even though they only scored 16 points, was still able to move the ball downfield. Ramondre Stevenson had 140 yards rushing, okay? And what the hell is Patrick Mahomes going to do to this Bengals defense? I mean, seriously, the Chiefs defense is not that bad either. Kansas City should blow this team out, I think so. I think they will. I think this is a one-sided affair. I truly think it is. I think Kansas City absolutely dominates this football game. They are minus 260 at home. They're getting 5 points. I think Kansas City wins this one by 2 touchdowns. Because regardless on how you think, maybe the Bengals will get it going, as the season goes on, they're going to be a better football team towards, when we look into November and December, sure. They're not getting this figured out in week number 2. They're not. It's going to take them 4 weeks. It's going to take the Bengals 4 weeks to look like the Bengals if they ever get back to that point this season, which I think they will. But Jamar Chase is not going to be magically fixed, even though, yes, Christian Gonzalez did lock him down. But again, Jamar Chase, who hasn't really been all that active in camp or whatnot, it's not going to get fixed in week 2. The Chiefs should win this football game. They should win it pretty handedly. Again, they have still one of the better offenses in football, right? Like them or hate them. Again, Mahomes and Kelsey are that guy, is that duo in the NFL right now. It's still elite. Those 2 guys are still elite, right? You add Xavier Worthy to the offense, who scored 2 touchdowns, right? I like Kansas City a lot in this football game. They're going to win this game. They're going to cover. Again, am I sick of the Chiefs like probably all of you guys are? Yeah, but they're not losing this football game. I understand Burrow is Mahomes' kryptonite. What, because he beat him once in the playoffs? Yeah. I'm not a Joe Burrow hater at all, but I'm just trying to make, I just see the Bengals are going to win because they're playing the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Oh, okay, that's just what Burrow does. No, that was 3 years ago. I mean, come on. The Chiefs are going to win this football game, and they're going to cover the 5 points as well. Our final afternoon game, I'll go over this game very quickly because I know, you don't really care about this football game, and neither do I. It's the Broncos and the Steelers. This is the worst football game of the week. It just is. It just is. Zach Wilson should be starting for the Denver Broncos. He should. Bo Nix threw the ball maybe 5 times over 10 yards the entire football game and completed 1 of those passes. The Steelers will be starting Justin Fields, so it will not be Russ's return to Denver, which would be a little interesting. I'm not going to lie. Instead, it's Justin Fields. Nothing against Fields. I just would have liked to see the storyline of Russ heading back to Denver. But Pittsburgh should win this game. I think they should. I think they win it by a touchdown. I don't think Denver's very good as a whole. Like, it's not Bo Nix's fault, but just the team isn't that good. Their offense is just not very good. Their defense, held Seattle a little bit, but, I think, again, the Steelers, how they win. I think it's going to be a typical Steelers game. Chris Boswell is going to kick a lot of field goals. They're going to get the ball in the red zone. They're going to stall out. Fields will lead them downfield, but then nothing will happen, once they get into Denver territory, but it'll be good enough to score field goals. Like, the Steelers are going to win this game. God, what's the Steelers score? 19-10. Oh God, was that how they beat the Falcons? That might be the exact Falcons score. That maybe is why that score popped in my head. But literally something like that. I think it's going to be a score similar to that, and that's okay. They won 18-10 against the Falcons. Okay, I'm going to go 19-10 Steelers. I'm going to go 4 field goals and a touchdown. Yeah. Yep. And again, we're at elevation, so Boswell can kick them even farther now. The Steelers don't impress me. They don't. Their run game is just. Yeah, it's not bad, I guess. Najee Harris is still a 1,000-yard rusher in the NFL. It is what it is. The receiving core is just George Pickens is good, but other than that, I mean, what do we have there? In Fields, I think, is probably better than Russell Wilson. I don't know. Obviously, Russ is going to get the start when he comes back, but I don't think it's going to be this week. So give me the Steelers to cover the 2.5 and to win the football game. I just think the Broncos are pitiful, too. I think they are. Again, I think Zach Wilson is better than Bo Nix. If you watch the preseason, I thought Zach Wilson was the much better football player, and he should be starting for this football team. But by week 6, they'll figure out. Once Bo Nix starts his career 1-5, they'll go to Zach Wilson eventually, and Zach Wilson's going to lead them to a, he'll be like 7-4 as their starter, and then they'll just go back to Bo Nix next season. I don't know, but give me the Steelers to win and give me them to cover as well. On to more exciting games, Sunday Night Football in Houston at NRG Stadium. We've got the Texans and the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears, shout out to Caleb Williams telling his punter he's never going to have to do that, or he's going to have to do that a lot less now. Nice. The Bears, they came back. You got to give them credit, but really wasn't their offense who came back. It was their defense and their special teams that won them that football game. Houston should be able to put up points against this Bears defense. I think they will. I just don't think the Bears are going to be able to keep up. That's my thing. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with this Houston offense. Romo Tunze's out, which does hurt the Bears, but at the same time, they still have Keenan Allen and they still have DJ Moore, so I don't think it hurts them that much. DeAndre Swift in the run game is just all right, I think. Caleb Williams is going to take time to get going, I think. I think he is. I don't think he's bad, but I think, again, it's still going to take him a little bit of time to adjust to NFL football. Don't get me wrong. Caleb Williams has got all the skills necessary to be a very good NFL quarterback. He is going to be a very good NFL quarterback. But this is still week number 2 in his entire NFL career. He's going on the road on prime time on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, that's a rough ask. That is a real rough ask out of Caleb Williams. I think the Texans win this game at home on Sunday night. They are minus 295 favorites. They are getting 6 at home. I think they cover the 6 points. The Texans offense looks good. CJ Stroud looks very good, right? And you add a very good running back as well. Nothing against Devin Singletary, but Joe Mixon is levels better than Devin Singletary. So you add Joe Mixon to that lineup. You give him, of course, Stephon Diggs. They've got Nico Collins. Tank Dell's the number 3. This offense will continue to put up points. Dalton Schultz is a very good tight end in the NFL too. And their defense, I think, again, other than the big plays AR had in that game against Houston, the Texans defense did a pretty good job containing Richardson, containing what the Colts offense as a whole was trying to do against them. I like the Texans a lot to win this football game. And the Texans win this one at home. They cover the 6 points as well. I think they win the game by about 10. I think, again, it's a rough ask for Caleb Williams in his first primetime game on Sunday Night Football, in his first road game to go to Houston and win without Odunze, which I don't think hurts him that much. Again, I just don't think the Bears are as good as people think they are. Again, I think that was more the Titans blew that game, and the Bears defense and the special teams capitalized on stupid Tennessee errors. Again, like Will Levis flicking that pass out, on 3rd and 9. It's just, again, the Bears, credit to them. They won the football game. They took advantage of stupid mistakes from Tennessee. Houston is not going to make those stupid mistakes, and the Texans should win this game on Sunday Night Football, and they should win it pretty decisively. CJ Stroud on the offense will simply just outscore the Bears, and I don't think Chicago is able to keep up. So give me the Texans to win, and give me them to cover the 6 points as well. As we go on to the final game of the week on Monday Night Football from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Of course, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. I want to laugh at everybody who told me that the Atlanta Falcons were better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season. The Falcons were the favorites to win the NFC South this year. and not the team that has won it 3 straight years in a row. Guys, the Falcons, I don't think Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts are bad football players. They're not. They're good football players, but they are a little overrated. They are a little overrated because of Arthur Smith and the scheme that, they didn't utilize them as much as they should have, which is very true. But I think at the same time, we are getting somewhat, and again, Justin Herbert's a good football player too. But we're getting somewhat of a Justin Herbert effect that Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, more Kyle Pitts, I'll be honest with you, because Bijan still had a very good year last year. More Kyle Pitts is some crazy game-changing player. He's not. He's a good football player, but he's not, again, a guy who's just going to take over a football game. I'm not hating on Kyle Pitts. I'm just saying I think compared to what people believe that Pitts is, I don't think he is. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I seriously hope I am. I just don't think, again, he is that top 3 tight end in the NFL that some people think he is. He's top 10, don't get me wrong, and he's a good football player, but I just don't think he's a superstar type guy like some people deceive him to be. I'm just saying. The Eagles are going to win this football game, all right? The Eagles are going to win the football game, and they're going to cover the 7 points. The Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL. They just are. Jalen Hurts needs to clean up the act a little bit. Jalen Hurts needs to figure out the snap issues and fumbling the football. But once that gets figured out, this is a very good Philadelphia team. You add Saquon Barkley to this offense, and I think the biggest factor of this team is Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts can get going and he can start distributing the football very well to Brown, to Devontae Smith, to Goddard, this Eagles team is going to really get going. And they are going to be back to that Super Bowl caliber that they were 2 seasons ago, right? As long as they don't fall apart midseason like they did last year, this Eagles team should be fine. And I don't think the Falcons are that good. I don't think they are. Kirk Cousins is just Kirk Cousins to me. He's good, but again, he's not a guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, and he's not going to take the Falcons to the playoffs either. Tampa Bay is still levels ahead of this Atlanta team. Philly's just better. They're just better. The run game is going to give Atlanta a lot of problems. And again, Jalen Hurts, as long as he doesn't make stupid errors like he did in Brazil against the Packers, he should be fine. And the Eagles should run away with this football game. They should. Again, they have too many weapons not to. That offense is too good not to run away with this football game. And at the same time, again, I understand the Steelers defense is great. It is. But the Falcons at the same time only put up 10 points in week 1 with, again, London, Bijan, and Pitts, who everyone will tell you are, again, game-changing players. They put up 10 points last week with the guy who was supposed to be their solution in Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position. Because the solution right now definitely is not Michael Penix either. Kirk Cousins has to figure it out, and they're not going to figure it out on the road on prime time on Monday Night Football against the Eagles, one of the better teams in the NFL. A team that has, I think, a decent defense. I just think, again, the Packers' offense is really good with Jordan Love, and that's why, again, the Packers were able to see that much success against Philly's D. Philly should be fine against Atlanta. They should be able to stop this Atlanta offense, and the Eagles should be able to run away with this football game on Monday Night Football to close the week. So, folks, thank you all for watching our Week 2 NFL predictions here on the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. If you did enjoy the video, we'll be back again next week for week number 3 and for more college football and more UFC and Bellator, PFL, whatever you're on the channel. Make sure to check out all the other predictions videos in the description down below. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.